name's Chris from ChristopherHole.com, and welcome to this video where we are going to talk about the food industry and advertising. I'm going to split this into two parts. The first part is going to be these 4 points on the left hand side of the slide, the 4 things American food companies do to influence what you eat. And then on this side is marketing dollars versus the original food pyramid. Now, I've taken this information from a book called Food Politics by Marion Nestle. Very good book, and I do highly recommend that you read it. And as it mentions in the title here, it's American food companies. American food companies do have an influence to some degree all around the world, so to some degree it is relevant. But with that said, it is from Food Politics, which is based on the American food industry. So other countries around the world, it may not be to this effect, but there will still be sort of an influence with regards to these companies and with regards to the global food industry, let's say. So the 4 things that American food companies do to influence what you eat. The first one is lobbying. The second one is co-opting nutrition professionals. The third one is make the right friends. And the fourth one is playing hardball. And I'm just going to explain a little bit more about those. First of all, lobbying, which is a legal attempt by individuals or groups to influence policy or action. So there's sort of 3, I guess, sort of reasons that they'd want to do this. It's promoting the views of special interest groups. They are 2, attempting to influence government rules or policies that might affect those groups. And then number 3, it's communicating to government officials or representatives about laws, rules, and or policies of interest. So to sort of, I guess, put all this together, it's food lobbyists, therefore, are people who ask the government officials to make rules and laws that will benefit their company. So they are in place to put forward what that company wants to the government, so the government then feed it down into the people. Number 2 is co-opting nutrition professionals. Now, what they're basically doing is using them as consultants, advisors, and giving research grants. So this type of thing, where to some degree the company knows why they're doing and what they're doing, but with regards to them doing it, they do need to sort of do it with some degree of finesse. It doesn't want to be too blatant, because then obviously it gets exposed and the company gets a bit of bad PR or bad reputation. But for experts themselves must not recognise that they've lost their objectivity and freedom of action. So it's all about making sure the professional, from the food industry's perspective or the food company's perspective, is making sure they don't realise they've lost their sort of their objectivity. So the nutrition professional wants to be unbiased, but the food company wants them to be biased. So it's sort of done that sort of finesse and not being too blatant needs to still allow that food or that health professional, nutrition professional, that realization, but it may not come across that way. So third one is making the right friends. So the food industry representatives must learn to deal with government officials differently, because they can't just give them money and then in exchange for influence. But what they can do is they can give them information, they can give them materials and testimony to be able to put forward their company's agenda, if you will. And then the fourth one, playing hardball, is using the courts to sue critics. So this is kind of a last-ditch attempt. So when competition for sales sometimes drives food companies to turn to the courts, we sort of see many situations in which food companies enforce different regulations against the competition in order to suppress that information, so they can then get across what they want to say without any sort of competition, if you will. So that kind of brings together that short video. What we'll now do is we'll move on to video number 2, which will talk about marketing dollars and the food pyramid.